Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be going over part 3 of the CYMA SCAR series, and we'll be touching over some brief topics and giving you my final thoughts on it. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. So starting in the rear of the gun, I installed a PTS ACR stock, and one of the cool things about it was that it could mount up directly to the back plate with just a couple O-rings. And now by doing that, the entire stock assembly is held together by 3 screws found on the upper receiver. And you will see later in the video how the takedown process of the lower receiver will be pretty quick and easy compared to how it was before. It's also important to make sure you Loctite the 3 screws on the upper receiver just so that the stock has no chance of coming loose. And moving on to the upper receiver, I opted for an ACOG scope, and they're relatively affordable, and I enjoy aiming passively through the RMR red dot, especially during indoor CQB environments. But overall, it's mostly a cosmetic piece, and you can find these overseas for a good price. Next, I upgraded the pistol grip to an LMT or ergo style grip for added comfort, and to ensure a perfect fit with the lower receiver, I did have to modify the beaver tail slightly, as you can see, but very quick fix, and I thought that was overall an improvement over your standard A2 style pistol grip. And with everything put together and assembled, there really isn't any wobble or any type of play anywhere. The charging handle does kind of move back and forth a little bit, but it will stay forward and stay locked to the rear when you need it to. So I think that's pretty cool. And moving up to the handguard, I chose the MREX PTS handguard in the shorter version. They have 2. I went with the one because I wanted a more compact setup for CQB environments. And it was also ideal because both the handguard and the stock fit to the CYMA SCAR without any modifications, which was a big bonus for me because I did not want to have to modify them because I wanted to be able to reuse them for future projects. And as for attachments, these are again more budget-friendly options. I went with a cheap PEC and light setup that's connected to a simple pressure switch. And then up front, I have an Ace-Tech full-length tracer unit, and I made a DIY suppressor cover to give it a more realistic look. And the only modification I made to the externals was on the lower receiver, which you'll see later in the video. It wasn't the prettiest job, but it's not very noticeable from most angles. And lastly, the charging handle, bolt catch, and bolt release are all functional, which these features aren't crucial for an HPA build, but I like being able to lock the bolt back to the rear when adjusting or tuning my hop-up unit. It just makes the quality of life and kind of like, an easier thing to do when you're on the field. So starting with the lower receiver, even though it's an external modification, I did have to modify it in order to fit an M4 hop-up unit. And so with that, the takedown process now is you'll take out the front takedown pin, and then you will remove those 3 screws on the upper receiver, and that'll allow you to essentially slide out the lower receiver and the hop-up unit as well. There's not really a right or wrong way to do it, just make sure you're careful when you're unscrewing it because there is a lot of tension, like I said, in the rear of the stock. And so once you remove the takedown pin and take out the 3 screws, you'll see how the stock just comes right off, and you have access to the spring and guide rod that is used to make the bolt functional. And I think there are ways to modify the ACR stock if you wanted to permanently attach that spring and guide rod to the ACR stock. And by placing a couple of O-rings around the back plate of the SCAR, it allowed the ACR stock to really hold together really well with friction. And so by using a mallet, you can tap that into place, and it really isn't going to go anywhere. The only wobble, like I said, will come from those 3 screws that you use to attach it to the upper receiver. And then the next step is to slide the bolt to the rear so you can take out the guide rod and spring, and then from there you can just simply take off the lower receiver that houses the M4 hop-up unit. And so the process to take down the SCAR with a shorter inner barrel would just be to take out the front takedown pin, and then from there you can take off the lower receiver. However, if you wanted to run a full-length inner barrel like I am here, the process would be to take out the front takedown pin and then remove the 3 screws on the upper receiver. And one of the most important things you want to get right when you're building an airsoft gun is making sure the nozzle alignment is correct. And that's what I had to do here. And on top of that, we are now using an M4 style hop-up unit, which is far superior than any type of aftermarket parts for the SCAR. It's important to make sure that everything is installed correctly. Otherwise, you'll see a lot of variation and problems with the performance aspect of the gun, and you won't achieve the results you're looking for. And for reassembling the gun, you'll see why now we need to modify the lower receiver, and that's just simply so there's enough room for the M4 hop-up unit to slide over the lower receiver. So you'll just slide your hop-up unit inside the upper receiver, and then from there follow up with your lower receiver, and then you'll see there's a couple millimeters of play. You just want to make sure that the lower receiver clears over the M4 hop-up unit, and then from there you're good to go. And so the next step is I'll take the guide rod and spring, and I'll put it in the bolt with it pushed all the way to the rear. And naturally you'll just let the bolt come forward, and then from there you'll just hold the stock in place while you assemble the 3 screws. And then from there, that's it. That's all you have to do to access the hop-up unit of a SCAR. And again, it's important to Loctite all the screws on the upper receiver that hold the stock in place. So don't forget to do that, and because otherwise you might notice it start to come loose when you're out playing, and then who knows, you might lose a screw, and that could cause some types of issues. And this is my first take at a live commentary, so if you guys do enjoy this video, please leave a like and subscribe if you want. I really appreciate it, and it'll help me grow the channel and bring more content to you guys in the future. And here I want to show you guys just how efficient an HPA system can be with minor modifications and installation. And so here I took around a 65 shot group, and you'll see that in the graphic that the highest and the lowest, the difference of that FPS was around 7. But if you're looking at the middle of the graphic, you'll see that there's probably a 20 shot group where the difference of FPS is less than 2 or around 1 point something. That's one of the great things about using an HPA system, is maximizing your efficiency and your consistency of your shots. And to wrap it up with my final thoughts, I think that this specific gun is the best value if you're looking to own a SCAR. And the reason for that is I've seen these available on sale for anywhere from $180 to $200. And that's for the metal receiver version as well. And so with that, now you take a sub $200 gun, you put a Kythera in it, and you're right at the price of where some of the higher end tier SCARs are currently on the market. For example, I think some of the VFC models retail for around $400, and I think some other brands like Aries or some others, I don't remember which, retail for over $400. So when you look at that and you look at how you want to build your gun, I definitely consider the CYMA SCAR as one of your main options. I tried to get the most out of the Bugatti hop-up unit, but I just ran into so many issues with it, and I can never figure out why it was failing in performance. And I'll put some clips up for you guys to see, but so that is what ultimately led me to go for an M4 hop-up unit, because now with a simple ProWin or a ZCI hop-up, the options now are endless, and you can do R-hop, flat hop, you can do standard. You can now build this gun and tune it for whatever scenario that you want. And with that being said, that's pretty much it. Thank you guys for watching. I do have some new content coming soon. Let me know what you guys want to see, if it's gas blowback, HPA, or build videos. Just drop a comment down below. And yeah, with that being said, I'll see you guys in my next video.